the sterile halls of Astroport Zeta's central hospital, an alien girl named Zara lay on a cold metal table, her life force fading. The bright lights above cast a harsh glow on her pale, dry skin, once vibrant, now dull. Her silver hair clung to her sweat-drenched face, and her chest rose and fell with labored breaths. 3 alien physicians stood nearby, their arms crossed in resignation. "She's not responding to treatment," the first doctor muttered, shaking his head. "The injuries are too severe," the second added, turning away. "She won't make it through the night," the third concluded. "A waste of our time and resources." Without uttering her name, one of them activated the table's mechanism, and it glided out of the room into a dimly lit corridor lined with discarded medical equipment and refuse bins. There she was left alone, abandoned like a broken tool. No family, no friends, just the eerie silence of neglect. Meanwhile, in the bustling streets of Astroport Zeta, a human mechanic named Ryder Kane made his way through the crowd. He wasn't a medic. His expertise lay in repairing starships and machinery. He had come to the hospital to scavenge for parts to fix his malfunctioning shuttle, but as he passed by the service entrance, something unusual caught his attention. A solitary table stood in the shadows, bearing a frail figure, thin arms marked with blue incisions, legs twitching weakly beneath a metallic sheet. Ryder halted, drawn closer by an inexplicable force. He gazed upon her battered face, seeing past the bruises to a flicker of life in her eyes. Her lips quivered, and though he couldn't decipher her faint whisper, he recognized it as a desperate plea for help. Looking around, he saw no one. No staff, no monitors, just the indifferent hum of the hospital machinery. He couldn't abandon her. "I've got you," he murmured, reaching out to touch her hand. Her fingers responded with a faint twitch. With determination blazing in his eyes, Ryder stormed back into the hospital. "Who's that girl outside?" he demanded. "She's still alive." The receptionist glanced up, unfazed. "Patient from room 39B, discharged. We've done all we can. She's been deemed hopeless. She won't last till morning. Sorry, human." Ryder's heart raced. "Then I'll take her. She's no longer your responsibility, right?" The nurse chuckled dismissively. "Take her where? To her grave?" But Ryder was already moving. He hurried back to the alley, retrieved a blanket from his ship, and carefully swaddled Zara's fragile form. She emitted a soft groan, but offered no resistance as he lifted her effortlessly. Her skin was hot with fever. Inside his compact vessel, Ryder placed her on a makeshift bed. Though ignorant of alien physiology, he understood the basics of life support. He applied cooling packs, wiped her forehead with clean cloths, and coaxed small sips of water past her parched lips. "Stay with me," he urged gently, examining her arms. He noticed metallic implants and old restraint marks. Who had inflicted such cruelty? Who had discarded her so callously? Activating his ship's communication system, he queried, "Nearest medical facility." The AI responded, "3 hospitals in vicinity. All have rejected care for this patient ID." Frowning, Ryder insisted, "Find something else, even a veterinary clinic." After a moment, the AI reported, "Veterinary clinic located on Station Epsilon, 2 hours away." Ryder hesitated. A vet? But they mend injured creatures, don't they? Glancing at Zara, her chest rising faintly, he whispered, "You're not broken, just neglected." As the ship ascended, Ryder remained by her side, holding her hand. He knew nothing of her past or her kind, but he was certain of one thing. She was a living being, deserving of compassion and care. The ship landed smoothly before a modest dome nestled into a rocky outcrop on Station Epsilon. The clinic appeared aged yet well-maintained, illuminated by gentle green lights and bearing the sign, Dr. Vex, Interspecies Care Unit. Ryder disembarked, cradling Zara in his arms, swathed in a blanket. Her head lolled against his shoulder, fingers feebly clutching the fabric. The door opened with a quiet hiss, revealing an interior redolent with the scent of medicinal herbs and sanitized instruments. Behind the counter stood a towering being with 6 limbs, its demeanor serene, eyes blinking leisurely. Its voice resonated deeply, yet kindly. "You bear one in distress." "She needs assistance," Ryder urged. "I know she's not an animal, but the hospital's turned her away. She'll perish without aid." "Let me examine her," the creature responded, already in motion. Ryder placed Zara on a cushioned examination table. Dr. Vex, the veterinarian, assessed her with meticulous care, employing slender digits and luminescent diagnostic devices. He inquired nothing about her origin or species. He simply attended to her needs. After a thorough examination, he lifted his gaze. "Her condition is critical but not irreversible. She's suffered from malnutrition and electrical trauma. Her neural pathways are damaged, likely from an embedded tracking device." Ryder's eyes widened in shock. "Can you treat her?" Dr. Vex nodded slowly. "With time and proper care, yes." "Then please, do whatever it takes," Ryder implored. "I'll cover the costs. Just save her." Dr. Vex's fingers grazed Zara's hair tenderly. "Many who come here are discarded, deemed worthless. Yet she possesses a resilient spirit, rare and precious." Ryder settled nearby as the doctor initiated treatment. Machines emitted peculiar green. Though she remained unresponsive, her fingers twitched as if seeking comfort. Dr. Vex labored through the night, with Ryder vigilantly by Zara's side, refusing rest. As dawn's light filtered through the window, Zara's eyes fluttered open, clearer and more focused. She gazed at Ryder, then at the vet, her voice a mere whisper. "Where am I?" "You're alive," Ryder replied with a gentle smile, "and you're in a safe place." She blinked, confusion etching her features. "You returned for me." "I never left," he assured her. Tears welled in her eyes, not from pain, but from bewilderment at this unexpected kindness. Ryder offered a comforting nod. "Rest now. Dr. Vex will help you heal." The vet entered, holding a compact device. "The spinal injury will require days to stabilize, but her vital organs are recovering. I've extracted the implant. She's no longer trackable." "Good," Ryder said firmly. "They have no right to her." Zara's whisper was faint. "Why are you helping me?" Ryder met her gaze. "Because it's long overdue for someone to care. And now, it's my turn." A fragile smile graced her lips, small, tentative but genuine. She had been without a home, without respect, without a place in her society. But now, she had a glimmer of hope, all because a human had the audacity to seek aid from a veterinarian. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, Zara awoke without the grip of pain. The room was bathed in a soft golden light that caressed her face like a warm embrace. She blinked, adjusting to the gentle illumination, and realized that while her body still ached, the agony that once consumed her had dulled to a manageable throb. Turning her head, she saw Ryder seated on the floor, his back against the wall, dozing lightly with his arms crossed. He looked weary, clothes dusty, boots scuffed, but there was a tranquility in his expression, as if her steady breathing brought him solace. Zara observed him quietly, puzzled by his unwavering presence. In her experience, no one stayed. No one cared enough to wait. She shifted slightly, and the faint sound roused Ryder instantly. He sat up, relief flooding his voice. "You're awake. How do you feel?" Her throat was parched, words eluding her. Ryder quickly fetched a cup of warm herbal tea and held it to her lips. "Here, take slow sips." The liquid soothed her throat, and she managed a small nod when he asked if she felt better. "That's progress," he said with a smile. Moments later, Dr. Vex entered, his large eyes scanning the monitors. "You're recovering well," he remarked calmly. "The nanobots have stabilized your liver, and the burns are healing." Ryder paused, gazing at his hands. "Because I understand what it's like to be abandoned. I was alone once too. If someone hadn't helped me then, I wouldn't be here now." Dr. Vex added wisely, "Healing is not just of the body, but of the spirit as well. That takes time." Days turned into weeks as Zara convalesced in the clinic. Each morning, Ryder brought her nourishing meals, first broth, then soft fruits, as her strength gradually returned. She began to sit up unaided, move her limbs without trepidation. Every evening, Ryder read to her from his datapad, tales of Earth's wonders, lush forests, vast oceans, starlit skies. Zara listened raptly, her world expanding beyond the confines of her past suffering. She marveled at how one person could embody such kindness. On the 6th day, with Ryder's support, she stood on trembling legs. "You're doing it," he encouraged softly. "It hurts," she admitted. But he reassured her. "Pain means you're alive." Tears of joy and belonging filled her eyes, emotions long forgotten. That night, as the clinic quieted, Zara watched Ryder repair a panel with quiet concentration. His patience and dedication spoke volumes. "Ryder," she called softly. He turned, surprised by her use of his name. "I remember my name. Zara." He smiled warmly. "That's a beautiful name." "Thank you for saving me," she said earnestly. "I didn't save you," he replied gently. "I just offered you a chance. You chose to seize it." Zara's voice shook. "No one has ever given me anything before." "Well," he said with soft eyes, "I'm not just anyone." Outside, stars twinkled in the velvet sky. Inside, Zara drifted into a peaceful sleep, her fears receding as her heart began to mend. The night was still, but sleep eluded Zara. She sat by the clinic's window, cocooned in a blanket, gazing at the distant stars traversing the velvet sky. The room was cozy, yet a chill lingered in her heart that no warmth could dispel. Ryder sat nearby on a cushion, meticulously cleaning his toolkit. He had become attuned to her moods, knowing when silence was needed. After a prolonged quiet, Zara turned to him. "Do you want to know my story?" she asked softly. Ryder looked up and nodded. "Only if you're ready to share." She took a deep breath, staring at her hands, now healed but still bearing invisible scars. "I was abducted as a child," she began. "I don't remember my family. Only the ship, dark, frigid, filled with cages. They said Zara wrapped the blanket tighter. "As I grew, I was sold repeatedly to wealthier aliens, each more cruel than the last. Eventually, a scientist purchased me, claiming my DNA was valuable. He implanted a tracker in my spine and conducted painful tests, declaring me defective." Ryder's jaw tightened with anger. "I escaped when the guards were inattentive, fleeing through sewage tunnels. I walked for days until I collapsed near a hospital. Instead of aid and nay, they scanned my implant and discarded me on that table." Her eyes met Ryder's, brimming with tears. "Until you found me." Ryder rose and knelt beside her, covering her hand with his. "I can't undo your past," he said gently, "but I promise no one will harm you again while I'm here." Silent tears traced down Zara's cheeks, not of sorrow, but of relief and trust. "You're the first to see me as a person, not an object or experiment." "You are real," Ryder affirmed, "more than you realize." Zara smiled weakly. "Sometimes I think if I had died there, no one would have cared." "I would have," Ryder replied firmly. Even without knowing you, I would have felt the loss. After a pause, Zara placed her hand over his heart. Why do you care so deeply? Because someone once saved me when I felt worthless, he explained. I vowed to pay it forward. Zara leaned forward, resting her forehead against his shoulder, breathing in his presence. Ryder remained still, his hand warm on hers. That night, she shared her burdens, and he listened without judgment. Her physical wounds had begun healing when Ryder rescued her, but now her spirit started to mend. Her history would always be a part of her, but it no longer held her captive. With each confession, the barriers she had erected for protection crumbled. Morning sunlight touched the sand outside the small vet clinic, painting it in warm gold. Inside, Zara stood by herself, slowly brushing her long silver hair. She had gained strength over the past days. Her face no longer looked hollow. The cuts on her skin had faded, leaving behind only faint scars, and her eyes, once full of fear, now held hope. Ryder walked in carrying breakfast, alien flatbread and fresh fruit. Look at you, he said with a proud smile, standing on your own. Zara smiled shyly and sat at the table. I feel stronger. You look stronger, Ryder replied. Dr. Vex entered with a data tablet in one hand. Her vitals are normal, spine functions are returning. Your care worked, human. Ryder chuckled. Your tools helped too, Doc. But before they could laugh, a sharp beep echoed from the clinic's entrance monitor. Dr. Vex's eyes narrowed. He tapped the screen, revealing 3 armored figures stepping off a black transport ship, their armor marked with red symbols. One held a... Dr. Vex nodded. It was. But maybe they traced her scent, or hacked old hospital files. Zara trembled. If they take me back, I won't survive it. Ryder grabbed his toolkit, not a weapon, but it would do. They're not taking you anywhere. The 3 bounty hunters didn't knock. They marched straight to the clinic door and forced it open. Step aside, one growled, his face hidden behind a mask. We're here for property IDX91F. Zara stepped backward, heart pounding. She's not property, Ryder said, stepping in front of her. She's under medical care. You don't have any rights here. The second hunter held up a device. We have her DNA records. She was purchased and marked. You're interfering with legal retrieval. Dr. Vex moved forward. This is a medical facility. You will not take any patient without clearance from planetary law. The third hunter raised his weapon. We don't need permission. Ryder's mind raced. He wasn't a fighter, but he knew how to break machines. You came for a girl, he said calmly, but this place is full of tricks. He reached behind the desk and pressed a hidden button. The clinic lights flickered, and the floor hummed as magnetic shielding activated, sealing the windows and doors. The clinic went into lockdown mode. The hunters paused. That's right, Ryder said. This place is made to protect fragile life forms. You won't find it so easy. One hunter fired, the energy blast scorching the wall near Ryder. Zara screamed and ducked behind the table. Ryder didn't flinch. He threw a wrench with perfect aim, knocking the weapon from the hunter's hand. Dr. Vex moved with surprising speed, using a long, claw-shaped tool to slam one hunter into the wall. I warned you, he said calmly. The other 2 tried to recover, but Ryder activated the emergency defense grid. Electric panels surged, sending a shockwave through the floor. The hunters collapsed, stunned and gasping. Zara stared in shock as the 3 attackers lay groaning. You stopped them, she whispered. Ryder turned to her, breathing hard. I told you, no one's taking you. Dr. Vex sent an alert to the local peacekeepers. They'll be arrested within the hour. Zara's knees gave out. She sat on the floor, tears filling her eyes.
I thought it was over. I thought I'd be theirs again.
Ryder knelt beside her. It is over. You're not theirs. Not now. Not ever. She buried her face in his shoulder, shaking with silent sobs, not from fear, but from overwhelming relief. She had expected to die in chains. Instead, Ryder smiled faintly. Because when you find someone worth protecting, you don't walk away. She reached out and took his hand.
I don't want to run anymore.
Then stay, Ryder answered. Under the stars, the fear in her chest began to melt. For the first time, she believed she had the right to live free. The sun rose quietly over the dusty plains around the vet clinic, light spilling into the rooms, touching everything with soft gold. Inside, Zara stood barefoot on the smooth floor, her hand resting against the wall for balance. Her knees shook. Sweat formed on her brow, but she didn't stop. One step, then another. Her breath was sharp. Her muscles ached, but her feet moved forward, not dragged, not forced, because she chose to move. In the corner, Ryder watched in silence, holding his breath. He didn't cheer or interrupt, just stood still, hands clenched with hope. Every step Zara took felt like a victory for both of them. "I'm doing it," Zara whispered, her voice shaky but proud. "You are," Ryder said softly. "You really are." She reached the end of the hallway, turned slowly, and walked back toward him. By the time she reached his arms, her legs gave out, and he caught her gently. She smiled through her exhaustion. "I didn't fall." "No," Ryder said, lowering her into the chair. "You flew." She laughed, a light, weak but real sound. It was the first time he heard her laugh without fear or pain, just life. Over the next few days, Zara trained every morning, step by step, breath by breath. Dr. Vex designed a custom walker to help her build strength, and Ryder added small adjustments to make it more comfortable. Her voice grew stronger, her eyes brighter. The haunted look that once clouded her face faded. She helps in the clinic too, folding cloths, cleaning tables, sorting herbs. Each task made her feel like a person again, not an experiment or prisoner, but someone living her life. One afternoon, while cutting medicinal roots, she turned to Ryder and asked, "Have you ever fixed something so broken that it scared you?" Ryder blinked. "You mean ships?" "No," she said softly. "People." He looked at her, thinking. People aren't really broken. They're just lost, scared, sometimes damaged, but not beyond repair. Zara looked down at her hands. "Thank you for not giving up on me when I was at my worst." Ryder stepped closer and gently touched her hand. "You were never your worst. You were just hurting." She looked up at him, her silver eyes glimmering with something deeper than gratitude. "I don't want to just survive anymore. I want to live." One evening, Ryder returned from the market. "I wanted to surprise you," she said with a grin, wobbling slightly. "You nearly gave me a heart attack, but you walked across the whole room," he said proudly. "No wall, no tools, just you." He looked at her like she was made of starlight. "You're incredible." She stepped closer, slowly, carefully, until she stood right in front of him. Her voice softened. "I couldn't have done it without you." Ryder felt something shift between them, a silence full of unspoken feeling. "I just showed you the door," he said. "You walked through it." Zara placed her hand on his chest. "I walked toward you." That night after dinner, they sat outside under the stars. The air was cool and the sky sparkled with distant galaxies. "Do you think there's a place out there where no one will ever call me a thing or property again? Zara asked. Ryder looked up. There is. And if it doesn't exist yet, we'll build it. She rested her head against his shoulder. Promise? Promise. They sat in silence, and for the first time, Zara imagined a future. A real one with choice, safety, smiles, maybe even love. Inside the clinic, Dr. Vex watched through a small window, arms folded. He had seen hundreds of wounded creatures in his life, bodies that healed, bones that mended, but few had come back from the edge like Zara, and even fewer had found someone willing to walk that path with them. He smiled to himself. Sometimes healing is not about medicine. Sometimes it's about being seen. In the days that followed, Zara no longer needed help to walk. She danced, only a few steps, slow and quiet. But it was her dance, her freedom, her choice. Each movement said the words she couldn't yet say. I'm still here. I'm alive, and I am becoming whole. The shuttle lifted gently from the dusty ground, leaving behind the little Veclinic where Zara had been reborn. She sat beside Ryder in the front seat, watching the sky widen beyond the glass. Her fingers curled around his hand, not tightly, but with calm certainty. She didn't shake anymore or flinch at every sound. The girl who had once been carried like broken glass was now sitting upright, her back straight, her eyes fixed on the stars ahead. Ryder glanced at her and smiled. You sure about this? Zara nodded. I don't want to live where they once threw me away. I want to start somewhere new. And so they flew to Luna Verde, a quiet moon far from trade routes and bounty lists, a place with no masters, no slaves, no doctors who gave up. The land they settled on wasn't much, just a wide patch of soft hills, blue-leafed trees and a river that hummed like music at night. Ryder had picked it for one reason. They built a round home with windows facing the sunrise and a garden at the back. Inside there were 2 chairs, 1 table, a bed made from salvaged foam and blankets, and shelves filled with books and tools. It wasn't big or rich, but it was theirs. One evening, Zara walked out into the yard and stood barefoot in the grass. The wind touched her skin, soft and kind. She stretched her arms and breathed deep. No collars, no chains, no cameras watching her. Ryder stood behind her, arms crossed, watching quietly. You're not scared anymore, he said gently. Zara turned, smiling. I'm still scared sometimes, but it no longer controls me. He stepped forward. Then you've won. She leaned her head against his chest. Not alone. In the following weeks, their quiet life grew roots. They planted herbs in the garden. Zara found joy in feeding wild animals that came to visit. Birds nested on their roof. A one-eyed lizard refused to leave their windowsill. She named it Cricket. Sometimes Ryder repaired local villagers' devices in return for food. Word spread about the kind human with strong hands and a soft voice, and his beautiful alien companion who smiled with eyes that had seen darkness and chosen light. Zara told stories to children, speaking of strength, kindness, and the power of standing up again after being pushed down. One little girl asked, "Were you ever scared of monsters?" Zara smiled. "Yes, but then I met someone who wasn't, and he helped me remember I wasn't a monster's toy. I was a person." Late one night, under a sky filled with stars, Zara and Ryder sat beside their small fire pit. She held a cup of warm tea, and he adjusted a broken drone.